Hi, Julie.
Hi. How are you? I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. God, I love that art behind you.
Yeah. How is the I have it propped up on like 15 books right now.
Yeah, right.
I'm doing something makeshift.
Okay. Oh, we can actually admit. How about that? Huh. Okay. So is our sound okay today? We have the regular mic on.
Sounds great.
Good.
Okay, good. So who do we got here? We got Sky and Gregory and D420K. What's your actual name there? D420K?
Darren.
Okay. Jared, nice to meet you. Nice to see you again.
And where are you checking in from?
I'm checking in from Prince George, British Columbia, the central of BC interior. Nice and cold up here.
And then Darren.
I see, but
hello.
Hello. I see. Well, then also the BC is famous for its cannabis also. Is that where you are growing in the cannabis area?
Yes, I am. And I also grow a legal medical marijuana grow as well and make my own extracts and that sort of stuff. I love the plant. Love it.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's one of the things that brings us all together, isn't it? The love of the plant and the way the plant loves us right back, actually.
It sure is.
Yeah, and you get all that extra rain up there. I'm jealous right now. You're probably getting rain, I bet. We're not.
It's actually snowing up here right now.
Oh,
yeah, right.
I've had to shovel my roof off and my driveway half a dozen times now so far. That's okay. I get my exercise, get out of the house.
And I worked outside till dark because it was so warm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Sky?
Asheville, North Carolina, Appalachian Mountains, Great Smoky Mountain National Forest, and all that stuff. The
Cool.
Biltmore Estate.
Soon
Thanks
enough,
for
North
having the
Carolina
session
will be
and-
the cannabis growing area. I'm sure they'll get it happening because I'm sure you can grow some really good cannabis up in those mountains there.
Yeah, because we have the perfect combination of sun and rain.
Right. Yeah, you do. You're lucky that way.
Yep.
Well, we're so happy to have Julie. We'll get started actually officially at about 4:20. This is kind of the warm up time here to get everybody in and happening. And it's great to see everybody. Let's see if we can do let's do this thing here.
I wish I could see everyone's face without having
there we
to.
go. We just saw all these other people.
Can't you see you, Julie?
Oh, and okay. Age Austin, or how do I pronounce your name? Is it Age or Age or Age?
Yep.
You're on mute.
It's not the fancy. It's Age.
Okay. We've been communicating on Facebook for quite a while, so it's really great to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yay. And Heidi. Yay.
Hi, Heidi.
Yay, Heidi.
Hello.
And James Hirsch is in from New York here today.
Oh, really?
He looks like it's cold back there, James.
Okay, I see Tara Lee also coming on the screen.
Hello, Swami and
snowing back
Nikki.
Oh, Tara Lee, good to see you again. Great. Hello, James. Is it snowing back there?
No, I thought I saw a few flakes yesterday, but it's really not that cold.
Huh.
We had snow a couple days ago, and then today was like almost 60 and sunny.
Nice.
Yeah, the South's got a freak snowstorm early on. That's far out. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta say, I'm curious about Utkarsh Thakur. Where are you calling from, Utkarsh Thakur?
I think he said he's in Texas. He was
Texas.
Hello.
Oh, you're also known as Rich Bite. Okay. Okay, that's it. Is that it?
How's everyone? Hello, Nikki.
there you
Hello,
are.
Swamiji.
There you are,
Hello,
Utkarsh.
hello.
Hello, hello. Nice to see you.
Same here,
Yeah,
thank
very
you.
nice. Yeah. No, this is great. We got a great group here today. There's Cam. Hello, Cam from Santa Cruz area
All right, right.
down in SoCal.
Nice to see you
Very
guys.
nice. And Red Rivers Organics. We saw him last week. Yeah, no, it's great to see so many familiar faces here today. And
Julie,
Awesome.
you look great.
Hey, who's there?
This is Heidi. You look great.
Hi. Hi, Heidi. It's so good to see you.
Likewise.
I would love to catch up with you soon. This is so awesome. I like how we have this gather in.
Yes, thank you, Nikki.
Swami and Nikki. Thank you for having me on.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's an honor to have you on, Julie. It totally is. And you know, we've been wanting to do this for so long. I just wish we got to see you in person more often.
Yeah.
I'm coming up though. I want to come for a field trip with Sage. He loves you guys very much too. You guys
Oh,
have
that would be great.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe he's 19 already, Julie.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, my boy is 19 and 6'3" for those of you that don't know me. And
He's
so
6'3".
yeah, he's 6'3".
Jesus.
I think he grew. He must have grown since the last time we saw him because he looked like about 6 then. 6. Wow, is he still growing? That's amazing.
Oh yeah, he's still growing and wow, he's towering over me. He's the tallest one in our family ever.
Wow.
Came from, but it's wonderful, and I'm thankful for him, and he loves cannabis
Amazing.
as well and holistic health, and he's an awake guy, which I'm happy. I see there's many awake fellows here, so I'm happy that Sage is out there.
Okay. All righty. So,
Exactly.
and let's see, there was a chap named Lab Dad, and who is that, and where are you coming from?
Lab Dad is
You
in
might be
the
on mute
Golden
up here.
Triangle in Florida, Leesburg, Eustis area. Medical marijuana experience and now in the CBD space.
Uh-huh.
I see. Okay, so you're from Florida. All righty. And the Golden Triangle, where's that?
Yeah, where's that?
That's what they call Leesburg, Mount Dora, Central Florida, where all the big lakes are. They call it the Golden Triangle.
Is that near
I
Mount
see.
Dora? Mount Dora?
Yes, that's Mount Dora is one of the points in there. There's a lot of medical grows and there's a lot of the CBD farming just opened up last season and they're going through their first legal harvest here in Florida of CBD.
I heard there were a
Wow.
lot of magic mushrooms growing on the land.
The best ones in the world, I'm told, are from the North Florida area where I'm originally from in Tallahassee.
Huh.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
Well, there's a business that's going to be legal enough soon, probably there too. So get into that business.
Yes, yes, it is.
I would say.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
But
great.
just
Well,
glad to be a part of it and just here to learn a lot.
good.
Yeah, well, that's what
Good.
we're all doing.
Well, we've got a great guest today, and we'll just ask that everybody, while we're actually talking with Julie, you can certainly send in questions that you may have on the chat room area, and we'll get to those. And we just ask that you mute yourself otherwise, so that there's not too much noise in the background while we're talking with Julie, okay? Thank you, everybody.
2-minute
So
warning.
great.
And also, we'll have questions at the end, and then like Nikki says, if you're not familiar with, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's a little thing that says chat. If you click on that, then over on your right side of your screen, you can ask questions and make other comments to everybody, or actually to individual people on the call as well. It's kind of a neat feature. So. Okay, and let's see, we're getting it now. Let's see, it's
Well,
4:18.
they thought it was 4:20 in Philadelphia, I see. Rich thought that, but
It's after
don't think-
7 here.
It's after 7, but we're going to do it
After
4:20
7.
because that's our time out here. But rest assured, it's 4:20. At least once a day, twice a day, everywhere in the world, somehow or other. It's always 4:20. So Yeah, out in California, we have another time that's 2:15, and that was the bill that the first bill that was a referendum that actually made cannabis growing semi-legal. So you can also smoke at 2:15 if you like. You know, and also at 2:15 in the morning also is quite legitimate, as they say. You know, I don't know how many be getting up at 4:20 in the morning.
Who's
But,
got
you know,
walkers?
it's
Yeah, you should be up meditating, Swami.
Yeah,
You know,
meditating, right, yeah. In
exactly.
the dark. But
Clocks.
you know,
We don't watch clocks.
420 is our new national holiday. 420 is our new national holiday, and it actually could be international real soon. And you may have heard that the UN has now changed its recommendation for cannabis and so on. So it's like moved it to a different schedule. That could have a kind of a domino effect elsewhere around. And so it's quite a big change. 420, okay, I got the signal. Everybody light up. Thank you, thank you. Bye.
I just smoked some hash joint, you guys, but I'm living in a place where I can't smoke inside right now. It's sacrilege. So
Really? Oh, wow. Well, I was really glad to see that, you know, San Francisco just passed this rule saying that you can't smoke anything inside your apartment, and people fought it so badly that now it's basically you can't smoke tobacco, but you can smoke cannabis inside your apartments. So
Wow.
I'm glad they realized that.
That'll probably be taken to court, I imagine. So anyway, now that we're started, we want to introduce Julie. You want to tell?
Yeah, I'm sure you probably all have heard about Julie. And wait, Julie, tell me again exactly how to pronounce your last name, because I know I'm going to get it wrong.
Chiariello.
Chiariello. Okay, I always want to say Chubb, but it's not. It's Chiariello. Chiariello. It's a great name. I love it. It rolls off your tongue. And yeah,
Italian?
Chiariello. Yeah, it's a
Italian?
very Italian. So we're going to ask people
I
to
could
mute
tell by her
while we're
hands.
talking. So Sky and everybody, if you could kind of mute your
Sky,
spaces
do you
while
know
you're
how to
doing that.
mute? Sky, check. Lift
Not
the
really.
microphone.
Where do you do then?
At the bottom of your screen on the very left.
Oh, okay, I see it.
There's a little microphone, and click on that. And
There you go.
There you go. Thank you very much.
And then it's really easy to unmute too. So Julie is the editor-in-chief. What you got there? Oh, you got the bell. Go for it.
She has a beautiful singing bowl here, the woman I'm renting this home from. So I know you guys like them as well. But please go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nice. Well, I was going to introduce you as Julie Chiariello, who is the editor-in-chief of SKUNK Magazine and so much more. Just somebody who knows so much and has a true passion for this plant, and just is a passionate Italian woman all around, and has great stories to share, and just really is very much honoring the plant as a regenerative, growing, beautiful gift to humanity, in a way that SKUNK Magazine is very, very special. You know, so many of these cannabis magazines out there, I don't know what happened to them along the way, but they seem to be mostly about growing indoor in giant warehouse spaces and all of this enormous machinery that you can get to grow these things. And they've really sort of forgotten about the craft farmer along the way and the people that are actually growing really beautiful sun-grown cannabis. And so we really appreciate so much what Julie is doing with SKUNK Magazine. And Julie, we've known you for years. We met you first through the Emerald Cup, and that was probably about 10 years ago or something, I bet.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. That was 2011 or 12.
Uh-huh.
Around here. So yeah.
Yeah, it must be.
Almost a decade.
It must be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of the cup, I have a question. I see that you're judging this year. So I'm wondering which competition you're judging in, which part of it?
Taylor asked me to do the tincture category, and I'm so pleased about that because, as you know, I studied herbology and I'm an herbalist. And so I'm so thankful because I've usually been too busy or away to participate. So I'm really excited and looking forward to it, and want to see what other herbalists out there are doing.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Great.
We call them the hill witches. all the people who've been back in the mountains making their special formulas, the hill witches, and going back to ancient formulas too that have been used for centuries and herbal things. So, but I want to ask, let's go back in time a little bit. And how did you get involved with Skunk Magazine? Where did that happen? How did that come from? When did it start? And some of you could talk a little bit about that history, please.
Absolutely. Thanks. I came first into the cannabis industry about 16 years ago, and I was blessed to have a position as the sales and marketing director to travel around the world and develop the marketplace for this brand. And the brand had a very leading edge ethos, always choose on the basis of love. Its guiding ethos, and it was a vaporizer company, Magic Flight. And I took that company global and I opened up Europe and Canada. And it just so happened that after a Canadian show, Treating Yourself, which some of you may know, it was a great show that is no longer. I met Don Vergados about, that was like 8 or 9 years ago, maybe now, 8 years ago. I met him after a Treating Yourself show by happenstance. And it was quite a synchronistic event, a kind of wild event that I won't go into. But we started working together. Maybe later we can go into it. But we started working together, and he wanted to cover the magazine, and I wrote for the magazine. And that's how it started. And we started doing business together, some projects. And then it turned into something where I realized that I could really help Skunk. Because Skunk about 7 years ago went into a court battle in the Canadian courts for seed importation and seed trafficking. At the time, they had taken over for where Mark Emery left off, and they were doing a large-scale importation. And that's not really where they started. They were a magazine, but the breeders needed an outlet. They wanted a place that they could do trade. And so they said, let's do trade. And so that's where it started out, very innocently. And so then, that court case was brutal, as many people here have probably gone through their own court cases. And it really struck a near death blow to the magazine. And that's how I negotiated for ownership to modernize and monetize Skunk. And that's when this really started, with me kind of at first helping John, and then eventually taking over leadership and running of the magazine.
Well, and would you, I know I love the phrase Green Renaissance that you use so much in describing Skunk Magazine now. Was that something that was there when John was running it, or is that really your baby, this Green Renaissance?
Yeah, I coined the term just as a woman. I've been using the term Renaissance for a long time. And it was about, at that time, 7 years ago, green rush was a really popular term. And I found it very just insulting, irritating, because we know, those of us who are practicing true stewardship, that the green rush is really dishonoring what the earth and her plant allies are attempting to do to help consciousness, really flourish on the planet. And to help, sorry, I have to actually come in, excuse me, and to help basically, to help consciousness. What I've always believed is that the earth is propagating consciousness with her plants, and that we're not just meant to waken our consciousness, we're actually meant to apply this in business. And that business really is the big thing that we need to reform, that business as usual is the disease in our world right now, and that we really have the ability to apply these principles into business. And so what was really exciting with me at Skunk is it was already devoted for many years to cultivating organically. And it had taught millions of people to grow organically. And when, my own guides and my own heart spoke to me and said, hey, this is something worth protecting. And then further, spirit moved with me, the plant spoke to me and said, this is really a renaissance. And why don't you just coin this term and start using this term, Green Renaissance, which is what I did, and just kind of pushed myself into the deep end to say, let's talk about a renaissance happening in how we do business and how we work with our earthly resources. And that's why I believe that cannabis and hemp are here. And, John was like, sure, fine, take it away. And so I just really took it and ran with it and started to animate and define, what does this Renaissance mean?
Well, yeah, I think, and the word itself, I love the word because it is a rebirth. And so what I think that we need to be aware of in the cannabis world is that we've been denied this and lied to for about 80 years or so. But prior to that time, cannabis has a huge and glorious history going back thousands and thousands of years. And we need to embrace that history and take control of the learning and knowledge that it includes, all the herbologists of the ancient times and the doctors and so on who've used cannabis forever. And so to reclaim that, and that's what happened in the Renaissance in Italy also. They rediscovered Plato and they rediscovered Virgil and the Romans and the Greeks, and they went into a whole other level of artistic creativity based on what they rediscovered about the past that had been hidden from them, and so on. So we're in the same kind of process. I think it's a great.
That you bring up a good point, because Swami, that's really, for me, I was trained in a more old world style, and my upbringing was really filled with art and culture. And I really was fascinated with the Renaissance and Leonardo da Vinci. And so I had been using the term Renaissance for many years before coining that term and bringing it into cannabis space. But the idea is that the last Renaissance, we had 20 million people die from the Black Plague. And at that time, we were dealing with suppression of science in the name of greed, similar to what we're dealing with now. And here now we are in a pandemic, which is wild, because I wasn't thinking when I used the term Renaissance that all of these parallels would continue to develop, but they are. There are so many parallels that show that we're in another cycle. And it's not that the other cycle failed, it's that nature moves in a spiral. And so here we are again going round for another go around with this spiral. But there seems to be an even more marked energy right now, where I do think that there's going to be millions of people activated right now to apply these changes in business and how we live, redefining what success is, redefining how we wish to live as humans. There's huge redefinition. As you said, the word itself tells you that we're going to go back, we're going to look at what we've done, and we're going to come forward now and birth something new. And we're doing it all together as a global collective.
Yeah. No, I like your insight about the plague, which was like 1348 or 50, like that. And that's the very early beginning part of the Renaissance. So when like maybe half the people in all of Europe had died, it meant that there was a whole lot of opportunity after that happened. And all these new things that had been suppressed by the people in power, and so many of the people in power were simply gone. And the church was also challenged. And then, then we have also the later Renaissance, say Leonardo and so on. And that's pretty much at the end of that. Then we have the Reformation, which is challenging the whole meaning of religion. And we're seeing that in cannabis as well. People are coming back to see religion and spiritual growth in a different way. And cannabis is our ally in spiritual growth. I think the parallels are great, and they carry through in terms of awakening of the spiritual nature of cannabis and the world itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in the Eastern traditions, we know that the Kali Yuga has officially ended and that we're entering into a golden age. Yes, that's what I
ended.
We know. Yeah, the Kali Yuga has officially, the golden age has officially begun. There are other traditions, indigenous cultures all around the world have similar parallels to this idea. The Hopi prophecy of the Hopi Indians, they spoke of the rainbow warriors, that in a time of great darkness, there would emerge of every race, nation, and creed, people who would remember their true nature as stewards, who were designed to practice husbandry, and that this is our happiest way of being on the planet, is to be stewards and to practice stewardship, and that this is a much healthier symbiotic relationship with the earth than the Judeo-Christian industrial patriarchal model that takes and uses and abuses and rapes. And that's why business as usual is so damaging, because we've got to make the connection of these masculine and feminine principles in our world, these universal laws that govern our world as well, govern the universe. We've been out of step with it for so long, right? We've had 7,000 years of patriarchy. I mean, there's different versions of it, but under patriarchy, there's a denial of the sacred feminine. There is a using and abusing of the earthly, the feminine principle for our own profit and gain, not caring what the effects are. And now we see that this is folly. And so, I think that several hundred years from now, we'll look back and go, oh, wow, that was a dark age where they were putting poisons on their food and where they were being drugged with all of these crazy concoctions that we know good and well that we don't need. We don't need those things to be vibrant and healthy and alive and activated as human beings. And that's, those of us that have devoted our lives to cannabis and hemp know this. That's why we've done it, is to see if we can help in our own way. So that's really what this is about, is I realized that, skunk could, in the modern age, being 16 years old now, in the next decade, I wanted to go even further to talk in a more holistic way. We're going to always highlight the best cannabis in the world and the best genetics, but we're filling it in slowly but surely, talking about entheogens and psychedelics and consciousness and herbology and new style business. I was just talking with Dr. Bronner, actually, and he's agreed to go into the next issue. We're also going to be highlighting the Emerald Cup heavily. And so it's just exciting, and what you're doing, and Soil King, and so many, who I really say we're all Renaissance people, and we're doing the good work of knitting this new narrative. And the hippies didn't fail. We're just 100 years into this Renaissance, and it takes a few hundred years to do things.
Yeah, it does. It does indeed.
Move slower than our fast-paced lifestyles.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, see, you're talking about the feminine, and of course, cannabis is the feminine side of the plant, and that's what we honor in it. And Nikki and I have had initiations in goddess temples in South India, and those are the ones, they totally changed our life. And so that our ranch here, our Ganjaman Gardens are dedicated to the goddess, the great goddess who was Lakshmi, Kali, and Saraswati, all rolled into one, all the qualities of the divine feminine in its supreme form. And cannabis is one of its great expressions. And part of that is we've had manifest here, goddess form, who goddess takes many, many forms wherever she's needed and whenever she's needed. And one of the forms she manifested here is called Ganja Ma. And so she's the center of our garden, the statue of Ganja Ma. And, we pay homage to her with the cannabis, and she infuses our land, and we have a temple to the goddess Sri Mukambika. So celebrating the feminine and the earth too. Our earth is like Mother Gaia, the earth. We have a whole meadow that we have called Gaia Meadow. And as you stand on the top of the meadow, it's like you're on top of her breast, watching down the whole earth, and so on. So yeah, there's sacred land everywhere, and you have to, celebrate it where you find it. And so that's one of the things.
Julie, I want to say I love that in Skunk Magazine, you have the female spotlight every time you have an issue, and you highlight a female cannabis person. And I love that in this month's, the winter issue, that you're highlighting the Dank Duchess. And I see that she's also the managing editor now at Skunk. So you have a lot of female vibe going on down there. I think that's just great.
Yeah, I was looking back at that, we just finished wrapping winter issue, and Cheech and Chong are on the cover. And it's been an arduous fight. It's been a bloodletting. It's blood, sweat, and tears to achieve a protection for this vehicle. It's been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my, I've been a businesswoman for 26 years. And so it has been filled with so much ardor. But it was really a moment to look back and at this current issue and go, wow, it's 50-50 female and male voices, which I've never seen in any, you know, popular cannabis magazine. There's a real balance, and it was really just, and then there's Black, Chicano, Native people represented, speaking in the pages. This has been my dream for a long time, is to really show what it is that we're trying to create with a more balanced and fuller and equitable expression of who we are as one human family that's fighting for this. And I want more women to get involved. I have a background in empowering women in business. Actually, that gets to my story, which I will share then, because this is too synchronistic, is the night I met John. It was 1 o'clock in the morning on the side of the road. He had been kicked out of Treating Yourself. If anyone has met John Vergados, he's definitely like a character out of Goodfellas. He's old school. Yeah, he's an old school head, and he grew up on the streets of Montreal, which has a whole, there's a church and a strip club on every corner in Montreal. So there's this energy, this very, wonderful energy about John as a rebel and a bad boy kind of thing. Anyway, so I meet him on the side of the road at 1, and I was with 5 women that I had brought for the conference. And I had, for a long time, like I said, loved to empower women in business. And so we meet, we talk, and we decide we're going to go and have a nightcap and several joints. 20 joints later, this guy had all of these joints and he was passing them around. And I was there with a European distributor that I was attempting to do business with for many years. So I was focused on closing business. So that's what I did. I closed business with this European distributor, and then I walked over to John, and John is like, "What is this?" He's like, "What do you have this entourage of all these women?" He's like, "Are you witches? What are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm a white witch, I'm an herbalist." But I said, more than that, this is a cult of Artemis. Because I very much love the Greek myths and Greek mythology, and for a long time have identified with the goddess Artemis, as well as Persephone. Those two, I'm really big into mythology, Joseph Campbell, Alan Watts. And so I use and work with storytelling and mythology to assist me in achieving what it is that I want to do. And so I told him, I said, "Well, we're a cult of Artemis." And right at that moment, he opened his shirt and he had Artemis tattooed on his heart.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wait, stop 1 second. Can you tell us a little bit more about Artemis? What kind of goddess is she?
Yes, Artemis, AKA Diana. Artemis was born from Zeus's brain, and she was worshipped through many different cultures, the Greeks and the Romans. She came to symbolize, there's some depictions of Artemis as a woman with hundreds of breasts. She came to symbolize sacred feminine. She was the goddess of the hunt and the goddess of natural and wild things. She was a protectress. She also, in ancient Greece, they prayed to her for either to get pregnant or to help with the birth. And then also women, I was just reading just recently, actually, that virgin in ancient times actually meant a woman, a free woman, a woman who went where she wished, with whom she wished. In the ancient Sumerian temples with the ancient sexual priestesses, when they worked with sacred sexuality, they knew that there was nothing dirty about that. There was no shame in that. They actually knew how to harness, because they knew that the womb carried the universe and that they were sacred, and that the womb was a portal to the universe. And in that way, that sex also is a portal to connection with God. You guys know this because of your studies. And so this is so amazing that it goes back to that, of the woman who is awake and free in her energy and her power, and is able to heal and transmute. And so it's interesting, I think, with this Renaissance too, and kind of the very official end of patriarchy, that we see a lot of different pockets bubbling up of goddess consciousness, or, you know, remembering of ancient understandings, people studying ancient Sumeria, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and bringing some of that wisdom. It's not like we want to go back, but bringing some of that wisdom and remembering it and integrating it into our modern world and our modern understandings and evolving really. So that's Artemis.
great.
She's the,
That's
and the
Artemis.
woman.
fantastic.
Now you're on the street with John now.
Yeah, yeah. And I just said, you know, I am the woman who hits her mark. I'm the woman who trains women in the hunt and how to succeed at business. And that's how we started. And I had no idea that I would one day come to help protect skunk and then eventually be editor-in-chief and run the magazine, which we've moved the magazine to California. And I'm running the magazine now from here. I'm up in Mendocino County right now, not too far from you guys. I'm born and raised Californian. And so, you know, it was good to come back. I did spend some time in Quebec. And during some years, I went through the 7 months of winter, but I'm happy to be back. But, and it's interesting, I am definitely, the magazine has been blessed by Artemis, I would say, and definitely doing the work of Artemis to hit the mark of this vision, this new narrative, this renaissance.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I also want to give you great credit for hiring writers like Pebbles Trippett. And because we all know Pebbles has done so much for our community. If people aren't aware, Pebbles goes way, way back into fighting for legalization for cannabis, one of the first. And
Been arrested 10 times at
yeah,
least.
and
spent,
she's
you
an
know,
amazing
time in,
woman.
yeah, a
She's
lot.
in her 80s now and just still got so much going on inside that brain of hers. And so I love that she in fact wrote about the Dank Duchess, I noticed this month. That was very sweet. And
Yes.
you know, it's just, you really honor that in such a beautiful way. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, I was just speaking with Pebbles last night. She actually kept me up because she's such a night owl. And we were laughing. I said, I've had to do an interview with Swami and Nikki tomorrow. And I stayed up to talk with you because I was giving her the update on winter. And she was getting to take a gander at it and a little sneak peek. And it is important to me. I mean, I want to say that it's important to me that we honor our elders and that we protect our elders. I come from a Cuban family. My dad was Italian, but my mom's side is Cuban. And they came when my mom was 15. And I was raised with those old world values. And so I believe in protecting and honoring our elders. And so that's one thing I'm going to continue to work on with you guys is the Elders Council that she's formed, which she pronounced that she wants to maybe call the Roots Council last night.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's going to the root of the matter is what we're all wanting to do. And our elders are here to help us. And we have to protect our elders. I think a lot in the green rush, we've seen a great disrespect as well for our elders and those who have sacrificed, you know, their livelihoods, their lives, everything. So I want to keep on. For me, it's really about keep on evolving and keep strengthening and seeing how we can become even more, you know, in alignment with these principles, these earth principles, and these ways that we all want to be together, that we've all been
Right.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, speaking of roots, the other article in the Coming Winter magazine that completely got my attention was that you have this story about the part of India where we used to live, which is called Uttarakhand, up in the Himalayas. We lived in a small cottage up there for many years. And it really is one of the original places where cannabis was growing, or at least started to be appreciated and cultivated. And I was so happy to read that they are now allowing hemp growing in that region. It's the only state in India that's allowing that. And that's fantastic. The first time when we first arrived in that area, it's way up in the Himalayas of India. I remember Swami and I were just taking a nice little country walk, and we came around this corner and boom, in front of us was giant field just full of weed growing, just big cannabis plants.
Oh.
And we thought, okay, we found our place, and we ended up living there for several years. But it was just so exciting to see that you had that story in there.
wanna see
That was
pictures.
great. So,
I want to go back
Yeah.
in time to see pictures. Do you guys have pictures of that? We should cover
oh
you
yeah,
guys.
Oh, yes,
thousands, yeah. Swami,
yeah.
Swami was a photographer back then.
There's a
so
great
was.
panorama from
Oh
where
my
we stayed. There's the
Not
big
bad.
city up there is Almora, up in the mountains. And from there was a place called Cranks Ridge where all these weirdos used to hang out. Lama Govinda and Ram Das and all these weird people used to hang out up there. We stayed on a further place near where Mahatma Gandhi stayed for a while. And we had basically, it must have been like a 180-degree view of Himalayan snow peaks, maybe 300 miles worth, and like 10 or 15 of them, well over the 20,000. And that was our view day in and day out. The whole area was terraced, and there was just cannabis growing everywhere. Some of it just wild ruderalis, but also everybody's little compost pile next where they had their water buffalo or their cattle. Right on the compost pile, there would be these gigantic cannabis plants, 10, 12 feet high. And there'd be birds, sitting in the branches. And it was just this amazing thing.
But they don't grow it for flowers like we do here. So they're not growing sensimilla, actually. It all has seeds. And that's partly because they're making hashish, or what they call charas there. And to do that, it doesn't need to be a female plant. And the other thing is they want those seeds because they use those seeds for protein. They eat them. So the women are actually very involved in the cannabis growing as well as the men. The men are all sitting around smoking the hash, and the women are cooking with the seeds. So, and some of the women get high too. There are some of them as well that indulge.
They all smoke the chillum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was just great. And then you had a Morocco story. I mean, you're really getting around the world.
For sure, for sure. I mean, that's the thing that's exciting about this moment for us is that it has been an arduous road to protect it, but we've crossed the Rubicon, so to speak, in a lot of ways. And we are a global voice. We do have people from all around the world purchasing the magazine. And we have global audience. Our third largest audience is the UK, the fourth is Spain. And really my dream is to continue, because I'm Spanish speaker and a Latina. I would love eventually to develop skunk Espanol. And really, it's important, I think, that I do focus a lot on NorCal because it's like a breadbasket epicenter, Shangri-La, and there's so many thought leaders here. But I do want always for skunk to be telling the stories of the people globally, because it's so important to see yourself represented or to see other stories that might, inspire something in you. And I really think it's important that we really all start to kind of, as we move into this renaissance, we see ourselves as global citizens. I think many of us feel that way anyway. Care deeply about
Well, cannabis has always been a global phenomenon because it's always been traded, particularly as hashish, right? Charas or whatever, keef, and so on. It's been an international phenomenon forever, right? And we're riding, we were carrying that forward by being more open and public about it. But you could always get, hashish just about anywhere if you knew how to do it, right? And there's an ancient tradition of the traders and so on. And that's why hashish also was made, because it's a trade commodity. It's much easier to move than flowers, right? So we're particularly, we're really favored on the mountains here because we have flowers.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Totally. Sorry, I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a delay, so please forgive me if I jump in too soon.
No worries.
But I love hash. As you guys love hash, I love hash so much. And my first hash was when I was, 20 in Spain, and the chocolate from Morocco. And it was back in, 1998, when it was still this just fudgy goodness coming over. And it was just, yes, I mean, I love it. Just similar to the tea trade, where you could move tea in bricks and you can move hashish in these bricks or, you know, these
Right.
things that you can keep
There's
preserved.
all these different flavors of hash. You know, there's Lebanese blonde, there's Moroccan, right? And then there's also the
Afghani's still the best.
Afghani, there's Nepali, you know, there's all these Bombay black. Hashish is just this amazing stuff that takes on the character of the people who make it as well, right? Because so much of it in the old days was made by hand, right? So you're getting that kind of, you know, hand vibration from the various people, right? So all over the world, you know, and up in the mountains in where we stayed in Kasani, people would come by and bring hash to me that they'd made right there on the other side of the terrace, right? And it was just this whole part of the culture. And you'd go visit someone and they'd bring you some tea and some cookies and so on. And then they'd bring out the chillum, and it was just polite to offer a chillum of hash. They usually mix it with tobacco and so on. And that's the way life was there, right? But the international trade of hashish.
I want to have a
What's
tea.
that?
I want to have a tea house.
Right.
We talked about this.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
You can come and sit.
Yeah, yeah.
Have some really nice teas, a pu'er or an oolong, because I love the tea ceremony as well. And
Oh,
pour
yeah.
tea. I love that ancient tradition of pouring tea and the slowing down ceremony. And so to also combine it with hashish and some little nibbles, I just love, love, love. That is so, you know, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
people,
Yeah. Someday we'll be able to smoke inside again with our friends
Yeah, yeah.
in public places.
yeah.
That will be great. That will be great. So Julie, I want to ask you another question about, so you got to personally interview Cheech and Chong. What are these guys like in person?
It was so wild. I had met Tommy before, and he and I had really connected on this idea of consciousness and commerce and cannabis. And I had really had a moment I was thankful to have with him at last year's Emerald Cup. And just to talk to him about, you know, Tommy, I've always appreciated that you were a conscious parent, that you are actually quite deep and an esoteric. And when you are given opportunity, you will go there, you will speak about those things. And he was talking about present moment consciousness and doing was saying it right there on stage. And it was something that was so profound to me and courageous. And I think that it's important that more of us take these courageous steps and just talk about it. And so he had already alluded that he would be open to it. And then we were able to get Cheech involved because they're launching dispensarias. They're launching a line of dispensaries and also a delivery service, Cheech and Chong's Takeout. And so it just happened. So it was just so synchronistic that I could go down. And it ended up being, you know, this very Cali kind of sun-drenched dream, because I'm a Cali girl. So I wanted to take Highway 1 from Oxnard down into Pacific Palisades and go right by where they had driven their 66, I'm forgetting the make, damn it. I think it's an Impala in the original Up in Smoke. And so I wanted to take their route and really kind of drink in the whole essence of what these people have meant to us all. Because, you know, and they came from BC. We have some people here from BC. So this BC Cali connection is really them and their commitment to Chicano culture. And so, yeah, sitting down with them, it's amazing. You know, Cheech was, he was a little wigged out about the masks. And I had to do the interview in a mask, which was really strange. I've never done an interview in a mask before. And but you know, we got to laughing, and we really got into the meat and potatoes of things, and I took them back in time, and they're just so special, and they're so warm, and they're so approachable and funny and humanitarian. And we got to go into, you know, how a lot of times they've also been really spoken about in a very superficial way, because a lot of their comedy was superficial in some senses. But also it was very subversive, you know, that they made these stereotypes and then they broke through these stereotypes. And, you know, they told me, they were, when they were doing their tours, they did, you know, hundreds and hundreds of tours, and that's how they created these albums, and then that's how they got the movie deal, and then it went from there. But they would go to the Y, they'd go to the YMCA, and so they were very healthy, and they were working out, and they were living a healthy lifestyle. And they told me that, and I didn't know this before, that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the one who turned them on. He would get high.
Oh,
Yeah. And because the bodybuilders wouldn't drink, wouldn't smoke, but they would use cannabis. And so
oh, wow.
they said, and so they were really into that exercise and cannabis thing, and that wonderful high that we can get when we combine exercise and cannabis, which I love. I'm a yogi. I love yoga. I'm a yogini. I taught yoga to kids and ran a yoga studio and worked in the yoga industry before getting into cannabis. And so, yeah, I love that. Getting high and doing yoga is one of my favorite pastimes. So that was interesting to understand that was part of their whole ethos. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No, I did not know that they first got high with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't know if it was the
That's
first
quite
time.
a story.
It wasn't the first time.
Oh,
It wasn't
okay.
the first time, no. Because they had already been up. I mean, they were kids, like young guys in BC together. Cheech,
Yeah.
basically, he had been a potter and a writer. He went to college to become a writer, and then he went up to be, follow his career as a potter. And then because he was a writer, he auditioned to write for this music magazine. And he covered Tommy, or met Tommy, because Tommy was a blues musician. So it's very interesting how they met. And Tommy had been running a couple of nightclubs / burlesque strip clubs up in BC. And he left Motown. He had like a record signed with Motown. He left Motown because the clubs started to take off. But it was really these counterculture clubs. It had to do with comedy improv and kind of breaking through a lot of the things that popular culture at that time, they weren't going to explore with the regular variety shows. It was through vaudeville and burlesque, he knew that that's where, comedy was born. And so he kind of tapped that spirit. And that's how the stoner comedy was born, was from that combination of things. Then the stoner comedy, they were demanding it, really. Because people started to get turned on. And yeah, it's a very interesting story, and people can check it out. It's going to be available digitally very affordably. If you go to skunkmagazine.com, very soon it will be up. And then, of course, we're all across North America, both US and Canada, and you can pick it up. But it was quite the experience, and we want to keep on talking with them and educating. They are our elders too. And I appreciate what it is that they've done to help to really create a lot of our culture and destigmatize a lot of it, and help people. And yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a great story.
So did they go on tour as a stand-up comedian thing? Is that what you mean, before they got the film?
Yeah, they did. They did a ton of, they were like road warriors. They did hundreds and hundreds of dates in clubs all across North America, mainly US. They were doing a lot because they got a name. They got very like almost quasi celebrity in BC. And then they said, well, we're taking this on the road. And Cheech was down, Tommy was down. They said, let's do it. And they went for it. And they started to develop this stoner comedy where drug culture, and it was during that time, it was like the late 60s, early 70s. So we know like acid wasn't even illegal, which they talk about. Acid wasn't anything. People didn't know what acid was yet. So you could get away with a lot. And cannabis was highly illegal, but everybody used it. You weren't like a ton of, you guys know this. I mean, everybody was using it, except they were frowned upon by the short hairs and and the more kind of old guard people. So yeah, that was an interesting thing, is that they went out on many dates, and they developed their craft until it was perfected. And then they brought out these albums, these comedy albums. And then that's when they got picked up that, hey, we want you to actually do a film. And the film was really, it was like, here's these comedy improv guys. And they didn't have a script, you know. They talked about how they pieced together these vignettes, and the whole thing with Up in Smoke was like the ancient search for weed, you know, like this age-old tale of searching for weed, and what you have to go through to find the weed, and where, and so that's what that whole thing is. They just pieced these comedy vignettes together, and then it eventually became something quite wonderful and magical. But they didn't know,
Right.
they didn't know in the process how the hell they were going to do it, but they did.
Amazing.
Well, that's a real organic growth that way. They tried out all the material, all these little clubs, you know, they paid their dues, as it was called, right? And you find out what works and what makes people laugh and what doesn't. That's brilliant. That's wonderful. And they're still doing it, right?
Still doing it. Yeah, and Tara, thank you for those visuals. That was great to be able to see those pictures right there. Yeah, thanks so much. That was great.
Thank you.
And wow. So what are your upcoming stories? What do you have in the works right now?
Well, so now, you know, the winter issue just wrapped, and so we're rolling up our sleeves for spring. Right now, Skunk, we do 4 issues a year, quarterly, and we're going to start to do some special books as well that will be coming in 2021 with themes.
Great.
But the next issue will be spring, and there have been some exciting developments. Emerald Cup this year, as you guys know, is making a shift to doing the announcements for the winners in March. And so it was a happy coincidence, because we've covered Emerald Cup for 15 years. We've somebody saying Dave's not here, man. Yeah. Thanks. I love it. I love another one. Do you want to get high, man? Does Howdy Doody have wooden balls, man? That's in my little article. So I'll send you one back, a zinger. But yeah, no, I was really excited that we've covered Emerald Cup in the winter issue for 15 years. And so this was the first time. I did have Taylor interviewing her dad in this, but that was it. We didn't do anything really big. But now we can, and we're going to be doing a special thing on last year's winners. We're going to be talking about some of the new stuff that's going on, and we're going to be doing a big feature on Hawaii. Soil King is over there, and we're talking about the work that's being done over there. That's something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Is I got to go to Maui 2 years ago, and my first year of life was spent on the Big Island, because my dad was a carpenter and a contractor, and he had a job there. And so, yeah, Hawaii has always held a special place in my heart, and I've gone back several times. And so I'm excited to cover, you know, the Pakalolo Seed Company and other great breeding groups and other great groups that are focused on regenerative and protecting also the native spirit and native understandings. And so yeah, that's going to be in there. I'm going to do a tribute to Myrtle and Jules. Jules was in South Africa, the Daha couple. Jules was murdered last year, sadly. So heartbreaking. I love them so much, and I'm so heartbroken for them and the world, really, that they don't get to enjoy Jules anymore, and what an amazing person he was. So I want to do a tribute in there. And really, you could see, you know, what I've been doing when you got to take a look at the current one, is there's just a lot of different speakers who are educating about regenerative techniques and working with the land in various ways. I'm asking Wendy Kornberg to do a piece, Wendy from Sunibus, and Joshua Rutherford, who does the organic regenerative conferences, has been writing every issue. And I love his voice because he talks a lot about how to do clean indoor growing, which I feel like is so important, is to keep helping people bridge to do clean indoor growing, because not everybody can do outdoor sun grown like you guys do. And we, rather than shaming them for the newts, say, well, look, you can grow a better weed, more beautiful cannabis, amazing taste and flavor, better yields with these techniques. So we're on a mission to teach people how to grow clean organic medicine, both indoor and outdoor. That's our devotion. And so yeah, there'll be definitely several pieces that are going to be coming in that space for sure.
Great. Well, I know that's one of the big changes at the Emerald Cup this year, is that they're going to be judging indoor grown flowers as well. And at first, Swami and I, being such old school sun grown types, we really put up a fight against that with Tim, like, oh, no, you can't do indoor. But, it's really interesting because now, this year, things happening around the world and just really looking at how the world is, we've come to accept the fact that, okay, not everybody, like you say, can grow sun grown the way we do. There are going to be people in places in the world where you just have to do it indoor. And so if they can learn how to do it well and properly, like you say, more power to them. Let's try to use solar power or whatever we can, as much as we can, to stop that high carbon footprint of indoor. People may realize that it doesn't have to have such a high THC. That's always my problem with indoor. These people are making these 30 plus THC flowers that, I don't know, you just don't get all the other compounds in there because it's THC's taking over. I like to have that blend more. So I think people are going to start getting more conscious about that, and that's a good thing.
Well, I think the key thing is what you're talking about, Julie, is the growing indoors clean organically. And we know people in Nevada who are doing living soil in their indoor grow and so on. So it definitely is possible. It just has to rethink it. And,
Right.
As Nikki was saying, the solar panels and water purification and all that sort of stuff. And then, but yeah, I finally came around and said, hey, listen, there are places where, you just can't grow it outdoors, either for legal reasons or climate reasons or what have you. And then we did see, the whole fire thing this past year,
Right.
with the smoke and the ashes and so on. And so, at a certain point, let's just make sure that the people who are growing indoors are doing it consciously and environmentally as well as they can. And I think that's what we want to look forward to. And yeah, and you're right. Let's not shame anybody, because we're always learning, every one of us, even though everyone in the regenerative agricultural movement, we're all learning as we go along, and we all keep changing our practice to find, meet what we learn. And that's the way that the planet actually is going to be regenerated, because regeneration goes along with renaissance. It's another coming, generating again, right? We have to create the fertility or replace the fertility of the soil and clean the air, and then we're regenerating with the Renaissance.
Absolutely. And that's, to me, that's the alignment. There's an alignment that's wanting to happen, a realignment of us in connection with the earth, because we are the earth. We are the soils and the waterways. We know this. And so this alignment wants to happen, and it's here for us. I mean, it's amazing how much it is here for us right now, in this moment, in each moment. We just got to keep finding it. And as you said, we got to keep allowing ourselves to evolve together as a community, and keep on covering. That's what's so exciting to me about the work with skunk, is just keep on covering the leading edge. I was talking with an indoor grower in the Midwest, and the whole thing is carbon. It has no carbon footprint. He's done the whole thing sustainably with solar, and the way the water runs, everything is repurposed, reused. And this is the law of the universe, is to regenerate. Scarcity is a man-made, manufactured thing. Abundance is the law of the universe, right? And of the earth. The earth uses everything. And we as farmers know that we use everything. We compost it. We repurpose, we reuse, we regenerate ourselves. We watch our plants regenerate. And so this is right. This is this alignment again with the law of regeneration, which we are.
Right, absolutely. That's
Our body's going to
exciting.
go back to the earth. We're going to be compost one day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And all the things that we're made out of, come from the food that we eat. And where does the food we eat come from? It comes out of the earth mostly, right? And so, yeah, that's the cycle of life, the law of return. And we just want to be more active and conscious with it and so on. So anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah. So how are we looking
Let's
at?
see, do we have any questions from
Yeah,
anybody
have
out there
If
in
you want to
the
ask Julie or
audience?
so on,
Anyone
you
have
want
a
to say,
question?
you have to unmute if you do want to do, and you can wave your hand also if you really want to say something. Okay,
When are you
Sky.
coming to Asheville? When
Say
is
again?
Julie coming to Asheville?
Oh, that's on the radar. I want to go there. That's a magical place.
You can stay with
Total
me.
vortex.
Come, please come.
Oh, I'd love to. Please feel free to reach out to me. Anybody can find me. I'm very easy to find and very approachable. I don't have a big fortress around me. We're actually a very small company. And I've kept us mean and lean purposely.
Usted es
So
muy
you can
amable.
reach out to me. Huh?
Usted es muy amable.
Oh, igualmente. Mucho gusto. Muchísimas gracias, hermana. So yeah, and you can email me at julie@skunkmagazine.com, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook with my Julie Chiariello. So very easy to find me, and don't hesitate to message me if there's something, an important story or something that you would like to share.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, we just get excited every time Skunk comes out. It's always a real joy to see it and see what's happening. And I mean, do you see that as your future, Julie, just staying in the publishing world now? Or you've done so many other things in your life. Do you see somehow they're all going to come together now, or what do you envision?
That's what's happening. I think that's so interesting. When I think about Joseph Campbell's work again, and the hero or the heroine's journey, and how we all make these unique journeys, and how all of these different aspects of our journey eventually come together in a full expression, hopefully. And it's, of course, the hero's journey. It's with great tests of character. But what's interesting is I do feel that my work with Skunk has already done that, is that it allowed me to combine my work as a mother, as an herbalist, as a businesswoman, as an art and cultural a person. I'm a dancer, a performer.
Yes, dance.
All these different things have come together. Exactly. Yes. It's all of these things have come together in one full expression. And I think that that's the alignment that we want to see as well, is authentic human expression. Stop compartmentalizing these things. We are holistic beings. We're not just our career. We're not just our children. We're not just what we've done. That we're holistic. And I want to keep on, and I do, Nikki, I do think this is a great gift. And I've always admired W Magazine, Interview, Vogue, Playboy, the original High Times. I love writing, and I love publishing, and I love art and culture. So I think that, yeah, for me, it's kind of really hitting the mark in terms of a full expression. And then we're going to do more, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here. We can do a lot more with this Renaissance.
I can tell by listening to you, you can do anything.
Oh, you're so sweet, Sky. Thank you. Thank you, Sky. I needed to hear that.
I believe it.
Julie, this is Heidi.
Yeah.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi, I'm really curious about that exquisite painting behind you. Can you tell me?
It's the house I'm renting. This is a wonderful woman. It's another herbalist, and I just happened to meet her synchronistically. We met, and I said, "Oh, I'm an herbalist. You're an herbalist." She's like, "Oh, what do you do?" She's like, "You run a cannabis magazine?" She was totally blown away by that. And then her place came available. And so I've been looking for a place here. You know, it's really hard to find a place in Mendocino. And so she has set up this house with these beautiful, I don't know if you see the gong in the corner there.
Oh, lovely.
She set it up really nicely. And I brought my son up here, he's been doing seed packing and seed work, but he's a cannabis enthusiast. What are you going to do? All of us cannabis people, our kids get into it as well sometimes, which I love. So yeah, this is the painting that she has here, and it's lovely. I thought, oh, this is the perfect backdrop.
And where in Mendocino County are you?
I'm in Ukiah.
In Ukiah, great.
Yeah.
Perfect, right. Excellent.
Yeah, we're going to come
Well,
up.
I hope you get out here to our ranch soon.
Yeah, Ukiah is the big city in Mendo. 16,000 people. It's quite a lovely place, but yeah, it is one of our shopping centers that we go to, yeah, pretty often.
And
Well, not
Willits, I
lately,
love Willits.
Willits is great. Willits has a real great personality.
Yeah,
to
we
it.
like Willits. Willits is a very, very
I
mixed community
so
there.
miss California. I really do.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I missed it too when I was gone.
But I
I was
love it. I love the
all
weather
over.
here. We have better weather than California. That's the only reason I'm here. The
Yeah.
weather is incredible. It's not 6 months of rain and 6 months of sun. It's, snow one day, out in a t-shirt the next. It's
Right.
just like, it's
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
So are there any other questions out there for Julie while we've got
Any
this wonderful
comments?
woman on the line here? Anything at all?
Oh, and we have Olivia Newton-John. I didn't talk about Olivia Newton-John and Amazon John. They're on cover for the fall issue that's still on the streets.
Wow.
That was,
Right.
they're awesome.
I'm so
They
glad
are
I
awesome.
heard this because
They're
I remember
amazing.
hearing Skunk Magazine, but I don't know if I've ever even seen it. But you've not been since the beginning, right?
I
you
started, it's 16 years old and I came in over 7 years ago. It's going to be 8 years next year.
Wow.
So Julie, is it actually available in the hard copy form all across the country, or is that only in California?
No,
It
it's
is.
all across North America. We're in 600 plus Barnes and Nobles, magazine retailers. We're in tons of chain stores. We're in several of the Canadian chain stores. But the thing is that part of what I'm doing in 2021 is massive expansion in that regard. So I'm working with my distributor partner to continue to open doors up. And it's been, like I said, it's been a huge amount of work. It's a huge undertaking to protect print vehicle. And
Yes.
it's wild that I do feel like spirit. Honestly, I have to be very clear here that my ancestors and spirit and the plant medicines and obviously the mother plant cannabis are guiding me as to how to pull this off. It's really not about my ego. It's not about any kind of false pretenses. I'm really just listening to the plants and the earth and attempting to align myself business-wise with what is in alignment with earth consciousness. And that's what I see as the secret sauce that's actually protecting me on this journey
Right.
to pull off miracles or seemingly impossible tasks, is because the earth wants this right now. The people want this right now. We need organics and regenerative to take hold on the planet right now. We need millions of people to adopt this right now. That's how come I feel that I'm being guided to protect this. And that's what I'm in service to, just so everyone knows. It's really not at all cognizant of the green rush idea of me, and what have I done and all this stuff. It's really not about that. So
Yeah.
Well, it's about
Yeah.
cannabis.
we're
as
going to
the
be
teacher.
everywhere.
Cannabis is the goddess.
Well, and it's also, Julie, I just want to say, as a journalist who, I used to work for the San Francisco Chronicle and all that, thank you for keeping print journalism alive. It breaks my heart to see it fading away so much. And I think it's so very important. I mean, there's something about actually holding that in your hands. It's great online too, but there is something about that actual print hard copy journalism. And yes, exactly. And thank you for doing that, because it's so important, I feel. And I feel like the world's going to go back to it as well. You know, just like I think ballpoint pens are going to have a renaissance.
There's a romance. Oh, I love it. Oh, yay. Thank you guys so much for that love. Yeah, I do think there's a romance to print. And that's why we used to do 13 issues, but I moved to 4. And it just felt like it was nice because it connected to the seasons, spring, summer,
Right.
winter, fall. And I just didn't want to lose that romance of touching and feeling it, and the magic, you know, the ancient word of, you know, cast a spell is to spell. So there's power in the word, you know. When we, in the beginning was the word. So I just feel like it's important to, yeah, we're going to go into the digital age, and I'm excited to do more with you guys for sure in 2021. Swami and Nikki, please grace us with your education and your voice at Skunk consistently and online, and but let's keep the written word. Let's keep it. I believe in what you said, Nikki.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. So before we wrap up, a couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to say that our next session is December 19th with Omar Figueroa and Lauren Mendelson, who are amazing cannabis attorneys and really know all the rules in and out. Omar's written the definitive book about legal cannabis and what all the rules and regulations, but they're also very fun and funny people. But thinking about the word kind of gave me an idea of maybe how we should wrap this up, because, you know, yes, in the beginning was the word, and in Hinduism, they say that word was Om, or AUM, or OM as we know it, Om. So maybe we can wrap up with 3 ohms here and share that. I do want to warn you, our dog Tipu will probably join in because he always has to join in on the ohms. So don't be surprised if you hear some loud barking. But
and also, yeah, Tipu is our little dog. But everyone can then unmute. We all unmute. We'll make this amazing sound of Om, which is, you know, the basic sound of the universe. And the sound of Om has been, you know, chanted for thousands and thousands of years, and is being chanted all over the world. So we join the chorus when we chant Om, and Tipu just can't resist. Are you ready, Tipu?
So we'll do 3
We'll do
ohms,
3 ohms.
and before we go, thank you everybody so much for joining us
Yes.
today from all over the world here and being with us. And Julie, we can't thank you enough for being here. It's just really always a joy to talk with you, and thank you for creating this green renaissance and carrying that through for all of us.
Right. And also, we
Thank you
kind of
so
traveled around the world in our conversation, a world trip with words around the world in the various cultures through various time schemes, and on into the future as an imagination of the regenerative and the Renaissance. So thank you so much, everybody. And so on the count of 3,
On to
1,
Thank you
2,
so much.
3.
Om Namah Shivaya.
So much love. I'm sending so much love to everyone on the call. Thank you so much. Wonderful. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Skunk and Nikki. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you
Thank you
all.
guys. So much love.
Om Shanti. You do a good one.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Shanti, Shanti. Om.
Love always.
I love it. And don't be strangers. People reach out, say hi. I'd love to talk with you.
Okay. Absolutely. Love you all. Mwah.